look in the room and all those people that we get in our heads about, like, what am I going to do and how am I going to do it? Am I going to get it instead of this person? None of those people are going to get it. Statistically, none of those people are going to get it. Not because actors don't book, but statistically, those actors don't know what they're doing. When I audition 200 people, 500 people, 2,000 people, it's not 2,000 people I'm up against 10. Because the other people didn't take the time to look at the text, to find something unique. They don't know how to go through the story. They don't know what to do in the room, how to read the room. They're nervous as all hell because, segue, they care so much. And I know that you care so much about acting and where you are in this world and your purpose and all this stuff. And acting does more than just pass the time. Acting gives air to people that otherwise cannot breathe. Acting for me got me out of high school and out of the detention room and got me in all these places because it was my pursuit. Acting is a very, very important thing, but it's really hard for actors to walk into a room and say, yes, acting is the most important thing in my life, but where I am right now, it's not important. How do you do that, right? It's to have the understanding that acting is never going to make you happy. And this role will not make you happy. And after booking like 80 roles, and my friends who have such success, more money than they know what to do with, and all of them are unhappy. You know why? Because they banked on acting. They banked on this thing that was going to make them so happy. And then what? I have 5 years of waiting next to this thing, waiting for it to ring. No vacation, no going home for my parents' anniversary, no that, no this, no getting close to people, no buying the couch because I know that I'm going to be moving to LA. It takes over my life, and it will take over your life. And that's just the way of the business. But what it will do is bring you to a point where you cannot go another day where you're happiness, which is the most important thing in this world, is reliant on something so unreliable as an acting job. And when you come to that realization, you're going to walk into that room and kill, because it's always the person that doesn't need it who gets it. You know, those people who are so desperate that it's desperation is just oozing out of their eyeballs. They're never going to get picked, ever. And that's why the pros get the role. It's not because they're any better than the other person. There are great actors haven't booked a thing, but it's the difference is they're a pro because of how they're acting and not acting, how they're behaving in the room and what this moment means to them. And if they get a note or if they screw up, it's less, oh, shoot, and more like, who gives a shit? It's an audition. Who cares? And the less you care, respect to the craft, the less you care about what this means to you to get it and to do well and to impress you, the more freedom you have. And it's always the people that, how did you meet your significant other, the love of your life? Oh, well, I stopped trying. I stopped looking. Yeah. How did you get your first guest star? Well, I was on my way to work and then I got a random call. And because it was just random, I wasn't in my head and I booked it. It's always the same. It's always the same story. It's never, I just tried for 10 days and I just ran it. And then I just waited outside for 30 minutes and sweated. And then I dropped everything when I walked in and then I booked it. No way. It's always when you're cool as a cucumber and you're a professional, not because of the talent, but because of how you're navigating this business and knowing that it is a job. And if you think that it's more than a job, then you're an amateur. And I did not believe that for a really, really long time. But when my friends started booking and they said, oh, I understood it as a commercial business. And once I did that, the stings didn't sting. The rejection was really, it went to another one of my friends. Or I didn't book this show because the next year I booked this other show and it would have coincided and conflicted. When you do that so many times over so many years, the universe is like, are you still upset about the audition you didn't get this week? When will you learn that there's everything, it's all set up. Everything is set up. And all my friends who booked the most amazing roles at exactly the right time, when they really deserved it, there's something behind everything that's happening here. And I fully believe that. And if you're convicted in that, then that means that the audition that I have tomorrow, which I won't get, I'm not going to get. I'm just logging in another day on this earth for me to take my number and my name might be called. And if it isn't, then it'll be called tomorrow. And if it's not called tomorrow, it will eventually be called, and we owe it to our future selves to stay in this game, especially when we're uncomfortable and we're in that room where it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I'll tell you something, 90% of people are not going to be in that room where they say, oh my God, what am I going to do? They're too afraid. So when you're there and you don't know what the hell you're going to do, and the muse comes and the universe comes to bat and you're always taken care of, you're going to let that seep into your head and it's going to become natural. It's going to just become whatever happens will happen. Who cares? And you have all the freedom in the world. And that's where the booking comes from.